All right.
Good morning.
Welcome to Exclusively Yours podcast. This is the first video podcast. I don't know where it's going to end up.
I'm excited to be your first.
Thank you. So today we have the lovely Nicole Knight. If you're
Hello,
not
everyone.
familiar with Nicole, I'm sure you are familiar with Nicole. Nicole is definitely one of those people. She's one of the sweetest people that I know in the industry. Look how sweet. Look how nice. Look how pretty.
Yeah,
Okay.
we have connected on social media. I feel like at least over a year ago now. We've always kind
Yeah.
of kept in touch or responded to stories. So, yeah, it is
Yeah.
nice to have people in the industry that you can befriend and talk to.
Yeah. So could you share a bit about how you started your escort career and your journey in the industry so far?
Yeah, I graduated college, recently was single, and I was in my first like corporate sales 9 to 5. And a girl that I had met in a different department of that company was on seeking arrangement.
Mhm.
And she was like, "Yeah, I'm just doing these dinner dates for like a few $100." And I'm like, okay, like easy enough. I'm really single. I don't want to do, any other traditional dating right now. So I did that. And I was like prude, I guess you could say at the beginning. Like I was platonic only. And then of course
Mhm.
everyone was like, I want more like this. I want more than just dinner eventually. So I kind of developed into it that way. Um, and then I moved in with a guy and we actually dated more seriously. And then we broke up and then I was back on Seeking. And then I tried like some virtual online. I think it was like My Girlfriend or some, I don't know, some sort of online chatting thing. Um, and then one day I was on a yacht party with a sugar daddy and he had like all of his girls. There was probably like 10 girls, most of which
Oh, wow.
he had like met with or taken care of before. Um, and one of the girls was escorting, like full ads, photo shoots, hourly rates. And I was still sugaring and I was like, oh my God, there's a whole nother world and level to this. And I was fascinated. I picked her brain. I asked her a million questions. She was probably like, looking back, if someone did that to me now, I'd be like, girl, this is invasive. Like, you're asking too much. But she was so sweet. She was so helpful. She explained a lot. I was still working at my 9 to 5 at this time now in Fort Lauderdale. I used to live in Fort Myers, Naples area. And then a few months later, well, I guess I started like an ad and like some photos not super great. And I had some okay luck in the beginning and I wasn't really happy at my previous sales job.
Mhm.
Um and I was like, let's just go full on and let's just try this for a year. So I quit my job, built a website, photo shoot, all that stuff. And then I originally told myself just 1 year, max until I figure out what the next plan is, what I'm gonna do next in my sales career, whatever. Um, in about 8 or 9 months, and I started actually figuring it out and doing well and getting the hang of it. And I was like, I am not stopping after 1 year. Like I'm just not ready yet. Um, cat is on the table.
Yeah.
Then I decided to be more full-time on the escorting. Probably like a year later, I created OnlyFans. I didn't do that right away.
Mhm.
Um, I started escorting like a year after COVID. So during COVID, I was in a relationship. So the timeline of everything was kind of different. And that was I probably quit my job 2 years ago now, 2.5
Okay.
maybe. Sounds right. Has it been 3? I think 2.
Wow.
I know.
I'm like, do you know your anniversary, your whole anniversary?
Yeah. It's actually this month. It really is because my birthday's in a couple weeks, and I remember I quit my job like right before my birthday. So
Wow.
actually, you know what? I think this is year 3. I think
Okay.
right now is year 3. I think it is. Yeah.
Well,
So excited.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Where are you based, and what cities do you work out of, or like the cities that you like to work out of?
I live in Fort Lauderdale. It's actually like Deerfield Beach, Pompano Beach area. It's about 20 minutes north of Lauderdale, but it's really central between Palm Beach, Boca, Lauderdale, Miami, even the Keys. And then Naples isn't too far either, but mostly I have a few main regular people that I see. And it's typically traveling around with them. Sometimes they do come here to see me. I'm in New York City quite a bit, Vegas. The rest is pretty spread apart and not really consistent. Like some of them will have business trips or conferences to speak at, or meetings, or some sort of colleague event. And they'll ask me to join them or attend, and I just go along for the ride. But it's nice. Some people do come here to see me. I do have some local regulars as well. So it's kind of all over.
So, today's episode is about something different, something that I haven't spoken about because I don't know. It was really hard to try to get somebody to talk about this, and it was very funny to see some people are like, "No, I haven't done what we're going to talk about today, or I haven't tried that." But I know a few people have, so I don't think
I know a lot of people have.
a lot of people have, and I think a lot of people just don't want to talk about it, and I
Yeah.
don't mind talking about it. I'll talk about anything, especially
I
since
will
now.
too. Yeah, I'll talk about anything. It doesn't bother me. I know a lot of girls that are open talking about it one-on-one,
Yeah,
but
one
like
on one.
me, it's like, oh no. But I'm such an open book. I always have been, and I'm like, ask me whatever.
Yeah, I think I don't even know if I really asked you questions before I decided to do this thing, but we're going to get into that. Today's episode is about body image and GLP-1 medications. And for those of you who don't know what GLP-1 medications are, like Ozempic or Mounjaro or Zepbound, or I don't even know, there's so many of them now. But we're gonna start with the body image. So, how has being an escort impacted your perception of your own body image?
It definitely has. I always felt like I was cute or pretty, or like I always felt like I was never like insecure about anything. Um, and then I again, like looking back when I was converting from sugaring to escorting, and this girl is showing me all these ad sites, and then I go, this is before I even had photo shoots. And I'm like, I was so intimidated because there's so many beautiful women and everyone just looks gorgeous and perfect. And I was just so enamored, and I was like, I just feel like I'm not at this level. And then, I feel like everyone thinks everyone else is beautiful. Like I look at you or my other friends, and I'm like, you don't need that. Like you are you are stunning. And then they say that about me, and it's like, yeah, we're all doing it. So it's kind of this like not a competition, but like it's always like we're all like, yeah, it's like bigger, better, beautiful, more. Yeah, it's so hard. And I mean, I've definitely kept up with more things than I ever would have before, just with like facials and lasers and like higher end skincare and more frequent hair appointments and higher quality products. Like you just really start to pay attention to those things, because so much of our industry is based on physical appearance, especially in the beginning. I think personality definitely keeps people longer than looks ever will. But if you're just going off photos on an ad, like the pressure to be perfect is definitely there.
I agree 100%. I remember when I first started, I read so many books about being an escort. There was one book in particular that was called Avails. I think it was like let me see. It's like Avails. I don't even think the book is like like available anymore. But anyway, it talked about the different things that you could do to become more higher end or attract higher end clientele. And it had everything you mentioned in it. It was exercise, eating right, regular haircuts, or like going to the salon. And some of these things weren't even like big things that you have to spend money on, but it was just like make sure that you just keep up with your appearance. Like make sure if you're gonna get your nails done, that you always have them done. Or if you're not gonna have your nails done, make sure they're always like buffed or polished a little bit. Or these are the things you can do at home, and these are the things you can do on this type of budget. So I have to agree with you. And I've always taken that seriously, especially considering to be like face when you're a face out provider, it's like everything, most definitely everything has to be on point.
I was just gonna say, like, before I was in this industry, like, I wasn't so on top of those things for my nails, but now I'm like,
Mhm.
if I have a trip, they better be fresh pedi, fresh mani, like, like, fresh whatever, so, yeah, you're much more on top of it now.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I did that for my I just had a dinner date the other day, and he was like, "Oh, I love your nails." I'm like, "Thank you." I had just I know, I'm like, "I just got them done." Can you describe any specific moments in your career that significantly influenced your feelings about your body? I remember, like, in the beginning, like, kinda when you first started and you hired a personal trainer, and I hired that personal trainer, but, like, it's like you made, like, a completely different change. And I remember you used to post like your before and after photos a lot, but I don't think you do that anymore because you don't have to. That was a while ago. But I
Yeah.
remember just seeing you. I'm like, wow, let me get my ass into shape because Nicole is doing the work.
Yeah, I hired a personal trainer, he's amazing. I was with him for probably a year. Um, I At my heaviest, I was probably 190. I was getting close to 200. Um, and I'm 5'9", and I had never I mean, it was steadily, like, I was, like, 5 or 10 pounds a year over 5 years, and then all of a sudden it's like, "Okay, now I wanna, get my ass into shape." So, yeah, I just wanted to take it more seriously, but to answer your original question about, like, if there are any particular moments, um, yeah, people can be so cruel, like, I
Mhm.
definitely used to be a little curvier, um, a little thicker, and my ex loved it, like, he was very into, like, curvier women, so, like, I got that acceptance and praise from him, and then, like, I remember there's very specific moments where, like, I would deny a booking because he wouldn't screen or wasn't sending a deposit, and one could I like, it's like it sticks with you, right? He's like, "Whatever, I don't fuck fatties," and I'm just like,
Cool.
"You were just trying to book me." So, like, I've been called fat and like, just ugly and, like, get in the gym and bitch, like, I've gotten those nasty messages, um, and now I get messages that it's like, "Used to be fat bitch," and I'm like, "I cannot win, like, what do you want from me? I cannot please everyone." Um, yeah, I definitely remember definitely, even, like, in person, like, it would be, like, a backhanded compliment or, like, "Let's get dessert," like, "I'm sure you really like that," or just and it's like, it's, like, little and I'm like, "You didn't you just book me?" Like, I don't it's like,
Mhm.
there's a lot of back and forth with it, or just on Reddit, there's been comments, like or just hate like, yeah, I've definitely gotten, like, body shaming comments, and I still do because now I don't have a big enough ass, and now my ass is too flat, so, again, you can't please everyone, and someone's always gonna have an opinion about how you look. So I
Mhm.
think at the end of the day, you just have to really focus on what you want to see in the mirror.
You're right. You have to be happy with who you are. And I know sometimes that ties into our business, but that's just really what I had to focus on personally, just to be focused with, okay, what do I like when I see, and when I look in the mirror, self love is so important in this
Oh,
industry.
it
If you
is.
don't have it, like, you'll just be literally fucked.
Yeah, yeah.
uh, how do you feel the standards of beauty have evolved in our industry? Do you feel like they've evolved much at all?
Um, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't say I'm like a veteran or anything, so it's hard for me to comment super long term.
Yeah.
I feel like the BBL phase is a little over. Like that had a huge height for a while. Now I feel like it's like more into be skinny. I mean, again, everyone has their own preferences, and I think women of all shapes and sizes are beautiful, and you can't go wrong as long as you like the way you look. Um, I mean, filler is very known, and like everyone's getting that, which I have a lot of that as well. Um, I don't know how they've changed. I haven't been in long enough. I think it's gone a little bit more to like that clean girl aesthetic, like
Mhm.
Sophia Richie vibe. I feel like I'm seeing a lot of that.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of like girl next door. Again, everything kind of can work for everyone. It depends on what you want to portray. And I
Yeah.
think you should also tie it into who you are as an actual person. I think our personas are kind of an inflated version of a part of us. And then there's a lot other pieces to me that I don't put on social media or talk to my clients about. Um, so it's funny. I feel like even my style or like my clothes or like even certain ways I do my makeup or maybe how I would want to get my nails done if I knew I was taking time off. So I do kind of cater a little bit to what I think is expected of me, in a sense. Do you think they've changed?
Okay, so I started in 2017. Hmm. And I'm like, what was in back then in 2017? I remember seeing all these top escorts and they all kind of looked similar, right? Like high-end escorts. They were either blonde or brunette, and I don't remember. Oh, never mind. Just kidding. There's one in particular, Black companion, that was like there up there with them. And they just all had a very a lady of leisure aesthetic about them. And you don't see that often. They're still around though. At least three of those escorts are still around now that I
Yeah.
know of. Yeah. Yeah. Like, I think one just came back, two never went anywhere, but they've done a really good job with their branding, their brand recognition and who they are. So, like, they're just chilling. They don't really have to change or do anything. For me,
Right.
myself, I was just trying to wing it because I started as a sugar baby too. I remember in my first photo shoot, I shot with a boudoir photographer, and goodness gracious, it was
That
a
was my first photo shoot too. It was just, I won't say the name, but it was just like a company that I think I found it on Groupon. It was like boudoir
oh.
shoot, like 10 pictures. And I'm like, because it's expensive to get into the business and to do it not the right way, but like to do it at a higher end level, it's
Mhm.
expensive to even enter and just the photos and the ads and the website. So I was like, I need a cheap photographer. What can I get just for like 10 pictures? But yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy. Changes.
Yeah, I can't remember. I don't even know how much mine cost. I feel like mine was expensive, but I can't remember. But anyway, I have the boudoir photo shoot, and and I decided to be faced out going out the gate, and it was fun. And I had that persona for what, 3 or 4 years, and it was fine. But I just had to switch over because not a lot of people like to talk about this, and not a lot of people get to live through it. But the the clients on one end versus another end are just different.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I got tired of seeing the clients on one end, and I'm like, okay, it's time to evolve. We got to go. We got to
Yeah.
push ourselves past our limits and our comfort levels here.
Yeah.
Uh,
And
let's
I used to
see.
be face in. I at one
Hmm.
point, and was using a different name, and I decided to be face in, and I didn't like delete any of accounts. I just kind of renamed them and rebranded a little bit. Um, and I feel like it's been great. Yeah, much different clientele.
Can you discuss any mental health challenges you faced as a result of industry pressures?
I've always struggled with anxiety. I have panic attacks sometimes. Pretty managed right now. I see a therapist and he helps me. He's great.
That's
Um, I wouldn't say so I have an assistant now, Hillary. She's great. She's my best friend. Um, I think she has taken so much off my plate and has allowed me to be less stressed and less anxious. Before I had an assistant and I was touring, I remember just like breaking down when I got home. Like it was
yeah.
too much. I just couldn't handle it. Um, so I think having an assistant definitely brought me back a lot of peace. Um, but again, I struggled with mental health, anxiety and getting into, I wouldn't say depression, but like depressive episodes and just kind of being in a rut and like not feeling great for a few days. And then I'm snapping back out of it and then I'm fine again and then repeat 2 months later.
Mhm.
So that's kind of always been an ongoing thing for me. Um, I would say this industry amplifies that a little bit, but I'm sure it would if I continued in my sales career. You know what I mean? Every
Yeah.
job will bring stress
Yeah.
and anxiety and pressure. Um, so yes and no, I guess to answer your question.
Do you have any advice to any newcomers or any current escorts or sex workers to prepare themselves for the realities of our industry without compromising their health or self-esteem?
Definitely don't ever compromise anything like that. And then
Yes.
I think you have to figure out what works for you. Um, you know what and this might be controversial. Um, just with like going back into like plastic surgery or like filler and stuff,
Mhm.
I instead of just being like, oh, I want lip filler and I want big crazy lips, like I really recommend going into a quality injector and ask about facial balancing. Um,
Yes.
because I just got temple filler and I'm like, I didn't even know that I needed that. And she's like, no, it'll like make your entire face like more balanced. And I'm just like, now I'm obsessed with it.
Mhm.
And I thought I needed more here, there, and they were like, no, you need it. So I think sometimes we can get caught up with seeing other people because her lips are so great or her skin is so this, but you might need something very different and you don't
Mhm.
realize it because you're not a trained professional. So that was really, really helpful. Um, to just not go crazy and get every single possible option that is on the market. You should really talk to professionals about maybe what they actually recommend for your skin type, for your face and what you need, or your body, even getting out of plastic surgery and filler, even if it's down to exercising and working out. Getting back into the personal trainer conversation, I was with him for a little over a year, I believe. And he got me ready for swim week. So we really focused on diet and like counting calories and macros, lots of cardio. And honestly, I feel like for me, it wasn't super sustainable long term because my schedule is so, so, so busy. And it's just
Mhm.
hard to commit that much time in the gym and like meal prep. Like it was just really hard for me. I loved it. I loved the way it made me feel, but I was just so busy in other aspects. I just felt like it was really hard for me to maintain, which goes into what we'll be talking about later.
Mhm.
But now I'm really more into yoga. So again, figuring out what works for you on a physical level of just working out and being toned and doing more cardio. I try to walk my dog all the time. I just got back from Bali. I did my yoga teacher certification. Um, I feel like I've already put a few pounds back on because I was from since I've been home, because I was vegan and I wasn't eating like anything. Lots of, I call it rabbit food, just fruits and vegetables.
Yeah.
And I was working out like 4 hours a day and I was really thin as soon as I got back. And just super lean and ripped. I mean, I was like, oh my God, I've never looked like this before. I haven't been doing as much yoga since I've been back. It's been like over 2 weeks. I've been eating normal food and more meats and wines. I wasn't drinking, so I've probably already put on like 7 or 8 pounds since I've been back from Bali. So for me, I've always fluctuated kind of a lot. A lot. I shouldn't say kind of. I've always had issues fluctuating, or like if I do this for too, like I can gain it fast and I can lose it fast. So whatever my habits look like, I'll notice it really, really quick. So yeah, again, circling back to just what works for you and not compromising yourself. I think it's important to try lots of different workouts, different fitness routines. I really like the app, ClassPass, I think it's called.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say, I love ClassPass.
You can try and experiment what works for you, what doesn't. My body really responds well to yoga. I think I like the way that I look the most when I'm really into yoga. So you just have to it's a little bit of trial and error. And I've been doing the trial and error for years, and I'm still figuring it out of what works for me and how I want to wake up and look at myself in the mirror every morning. So it's an ongoing battle, but it's an ongoing thing.
Yeah, that's all really good advice. ClassPass, for people who don't know what ClassPass is, and I wish I was sponsored, maybe one day.
Okay.
ClassPass is an app, and you can go and find fitness, and then there's also like health and wellness
Acupuncture,
stuff.
massage,
Have you
cryotherapy.
have you
Oh,
any of those other
yeah,
things?
I've used
Somebody was just talking about it on Twitter.
I love ClassPass. Especially, it's nice because you can do it in any city, or at least that
Yes,
has the connections with
yes.
it. So if you're always on the go, it's nice that you can just jump into a class wherever city you're at that you can find. And then if you, for whatever reason, aren't going for a little bit and you stock up on some credits, some of the other stuff like the acupuncture, massage, cryotherapy, they do it by credit. So it's like whatever, $50 or $75 a month, and you get X amount of credits, and then each class is 3, 4, 5, 7 credits,
Mhm.
and massage is like 35 credits, however you want to do it. So it's nice if I'm lazy and not doing my classes as much, I'll be like, well, I'll just go get acupuncture or I'll get a massage on my class pass. So it's so helpful. It's really versatile, and so I love it.
Yeah, everybody. I think if you want to just like dip your toes into different things,
Yeah.
fitness and wellness related, you should definitely get ClassPass. I remember I talked about this like years ago, and it was like not as big, but more and more gyms and different places have gotten it. So, and now I think that so many places where I live in Dallas are on there. So it's been a really big help. It also like helps you just be social if you just
Yeah.
want to get out and do something different,
Yeah.
especially if you're like on tour or on the road and you're just like, oh, what do I do? I know a lot of people say, what do I do in the city? Well, if you have ClassPass, you can
Go
go do
take a
whatever.
yoga
Like,
class or yeah. I've been really wanting to get more into Pilates.
mm,
And I also really enjoy boxing or kickboxing. I had like a really big kickboxing and boxing phase a while back. And I still incorporate it every now and then, just get all the anger out. Just get it out on the bag. But also on ClassPass they have just like an open gym, so
is
where
it?
you can just go in and just use the weights, and it's not a class
Yeah.
or anything. So again, we like versatility.
Yeah, no pressure, but you should be on ClassPass. You should have ClassPass. And then also, if you don't use those credits, like she said, some of them will roll over depending on what type of
They
plan
do
you
roll over for like 1 month, and then if you don't, I think you do lose them
use it.
eventually. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's easy. Go get a massage. You won't lose it.
Yeah. Yeah.
All
Twist
right,
my arm.
so
I'll use my fingers
let's
that way.
get into this. I got my iPad because I gotta be official about this GLP. All right, so we're gonna talk about GLP-1 medications or GLP-1. This is GLP-1 agonist, diabetes drugs, and weight loss. So this is a Mayo Clinic. Um, so this technically it's like a type 2 diabetes drug that can help people lose weight and lower their blood sugar. And there's also a side effect. The side effect is also like losing weight. It says weight loss can vary depending on which GLP-1 drug you use and your dose. Studies have found that all GLP-1 drugs can lead to weight loss of about 10.5 to 15.8 pounds when using a particular one. Let's see. Oh, that's liraglutide. I've never heard of that one. Studies found people using semaglutide, that's Ozempic, yeah, I think, and making lifestyle changes lost about 33.7 pounds versus 5.7 pounds who for those people who don't use the drug. Okay, and so you can take these drugs by shot, and it says given daily or weekly. Okay, so the major ones that we're going to talk about, let's see, Ozempic, and then I don't know some of these other ones. Oh, there's an oral one. Oh, I've heard about that new one. It's like Rybelsus.
I've heard of
Rybelsus.
oral, yeah.
Yeah, it says taken by mouth once daily. Oh, I would not want to do that. So
No.
these drugs mimic the action of a hormone called glucagon-like peptide 1 when blood sugar levels start to rise after someone eats. These drugs stimulate the body to produce more insulin. The extra insulin helps lower blood sugar levels, and that helps control type 2 diabetes. It says, but it's not clear how the drugs lead to weight loss. Well,
it affects your appetite is the main thing.
I was like, it's an appetite suppressant.
Yeah.
I don't know how it works. Oh, yeah. And let me be clear about some of the side effects. Nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. And one that's definitely not on here is constipation. I don't know why that's not on there.
It should be on there.
It should definitely be on there, Mayo Clinic. What are y'all doing? All right. So today we're going to talk about GLP-1 medications. I take them. I've been taking them since February. And on February, I've been taking Mounjaro or Zepbound, but the compounded version of it, technically, because I get it from a plastic surgeon. And I lost 14 pounds so far.
Congrats. For you.
Thank you. And I haven't spoken about it. I'm like hidden from the public right now, kind of, sort of, because I'm like, I'm not in my final form yet. I'm waiting until probably if I do maybe a photo shoot or two or a few, I don't know, we'll see how it goes. But a couple, it seems like in February, I think, like before I decided to go on this drug, I asked some people about it, I think, and only like a handful of people were willing to talk to me about it. But Nicole was definitely willing to talk to me about it. So this is partly why she's a guest on our show today. So Nicole, what led you to start using GLP-1 medications? I don't know which one you're on, if you want to say. And has your personal health journey influenced this decision?
I'm on Wegovy, I believe is the brand name, but my actual vial says semaglutide. I've been on it since November, December-ish.
Okay.
4 or 5 months now. Like I mentioned earlier, my heaviest was probably 190. I got down with my personal trainer, just straight normal diet and exercise, probably down to like 140. That was my, and I really wanted to focus on creating a healthier lifestyle. Not that this is cheating, because again, here we are, I love it, but I really wanted to create a healthier environment long term, so that I wouldn't just rebound and possibly go back to where I was, eventually. So I really wanted it to be more of a long-term result. Yeah, I have been thinking about it for a while. I considered liposuction, to be honest.
Me
And I'm like,
too.
I don't want to do another surgery. I don't want to do more down. Like, that's just a lot. I mean, as you know, all these dinner dates, I mean, there's a bread basket at every table. They always want to do dinner, and it's steak and it's appetizers. And then when you're traveling, it's a lot of takeout in other restaurants, and it's hard to eat at home. So I just felt like all this amazing, beautiful food is right in front of you, and sometimes it's hard to manage it. And I've sort of had like I've never really been diagnosed, or like, not that I have an eating disorder, but like sometimes I'll binge eat, or like I snack and I just can't stop, or especially like late at night. like my late night munchie cravings when I'm watching TV before bed. Like, I mean, like I would just eat an entire bag of chips and I'm just like, this is, and it was like mental, and people are like, see me now and they're like, you don't need to be on this. But I'm like, there's a lot more in your head that goes on than what maybe you're seeing on the outside.
Mhm.
And I think there's actually been studies that it's helping people stop smoking because it's like doing something in the brain that's like this addictive behavior of like, I don't know. I don't quote me on it. Like, we should get some more information or studies.
I
But
stopped, but I'll tell you, it stopped me from drinking as much. I
a
don't
lot of,
want.
yeah, people just don't want to drink as I mean, I've never been a big drinker either anyway, but now it's even more so like you just don't want it. It like changes the chemistry in your brain and you're just like, does it just isn't appetizing to me anymore. Same with fast food. I
Mhm.
still love my McDonald's, don't get me wrong. It's so awful. But in general, like it used to sound good all the time, and now I'm like,
Yeah,
it just doesn't sound yummy.
I know.
So it really does change like the way you think about food, your relationship with food, which I feel like is how I had gotten to my heaviest. Just
Mhm.
again, years and years of not having a good, healthy relationship with food. And I wouldn't say emotional eater, but like sometimes, but like,
Yeah.
or sometimes like I would be sad and then I wouldn't eat, or like I would be sad and I would eat a lot. Like I just feel like my food and diet was very connected to how I was feeling in like my brain, I guess. And the semaglutide really just balances it out. Like it's nice not having to like think
Mhm.
about it. I had a lot of food thought, I think is what they say, like food thoughts.
Mhm.
Or like after lunch, I'm like, okay, well, what should I do for dinner? And well, I
Yeah.
had a really heavy lunch, so maybe I should do a light dinner. And like, I just feel like I was constantly ruminating about it. And then it's like almost punishing yourself if you had a flammy tea when you're doing all this wine and steak and bread and desserts and sushi and appetite, like all this stuff. And then you're like, now I have 2 or 3 days and I gotta get in the gym and do my cardio and catch up. And I mean, it just felt like a never ending cycle that I was fighting. And I just feel like the Ozempic has really just taken that weight off my shoulders. I just don't have to worry or think about all those things anymore. And I don't have to be in the gym 24/7 like I used to be to maintain it. Um, so it's made my life a million times easier.
Yeah, I agree. After I started taking it, I think I went onto Reddit, which Reddit can be used for good and evil, in case anybody wanted to know. But they have different like subreddit threads for these types of medications, and so I go in and I read them, and it's just like a community of people who are all basically going through the same thing, and what they called it is the food noise. And I'm like,
Food
how
noise. I said food thought. It's food noise. That's what it's called.
food noise is what they call it. And I didn't even know that was a thing until I started taking this drug. Like, what? Insane.
Now it's gone, right?
It's gone. Like, I don't have to obsess about what I'm gonna eat, or like I know that now I can eat something, and or I'll have the the time. It gives you the time to make a good decision, a better decision, versus if you were hungry and if you were just gonna go for the fast food, or if you're just gonna go for like the worst thing you could eat, which sometimes I do eat, like a chicken strip. I love chicken strips and
Yeah,
chicken.
it's all about balance. It really, really is.
Yeah, so I don't deprive myself, but the most of the things that I have, especially on like dinner dates, are like on the healthier side. And it's just nice. I don't know. I've just never felt so in control of my diet before, even though I don't know. I would I
I
remember a couple months ago I went through a breakup and I felt like I gained more weight, and I was just eating just to eat just because food was there. I
Yep.
mean, I didn't feel like I felt like I was sad, but probably was sad. And just reaching for food just because I'm like, I was going to the grocery store like every week, and now I don't really have to do that. I'm like, oh wow, I really have to like reel it in on going to the grocery store because I'm not eating that much.
And it's nice because before, you're right, you're always obsessing over it and what are my portions and I really want this, but I shouldn't have too much. And
Yeah.
now I just don't have to think about it. I just have a little of everything. I can indulge with
Mhm.
minimal amounts, and I still eat really healthy as well. So I just feel so much more balanced, and the food noise is just gone. And it's I can't even yeah, you feel just free. It's like a weight off your shoulders. You just don't have to worry about that. Um, I know so many people that have gotten on it recently in the industry or just in general and out of the industry, like, um, I don't know, just like acquaintances I know and in my personal life. And everyone says the same thing. The food noise disappearing is like the best thing about it.
And I'd say the second best for me is like the drinking because it's like I
Yeah.
have so much alcohol in my home, and it's like now I'm like, what am I doing with all this alcohol and all this wine? I had some friends that wanted to go out for wine last night, and I was like, no, I'm good. I gotta send an email. I gotta send Nicole an email. I gotta write these interview questions. I'm like, I
Yeah.
feel like 100 times more focused on other things in life now.
You Yeah, you really, really do. And again, I've never been a huge drinker either, but it's gone down even more now. I mean, I still like on dinner dates, a lot of men want to drink and celebrate, and they're having a good time. Well, you know, it's their time away from their stresses, so they want to drink. But it's also like, okay, but I'm doing like it's only a few days a month for you, but it's all the time for me. So I really want to, and I make an effort to limit my drinking because again, it's around me all the time.
Mm.
Everyone's like bottles here, cocktails here, and it's great. I love it. And again, everything in moderation. Um, Weed is honestly more my vice, so most people are pretty cool with that. And I just have a glass or two of wine at dinner, and I just hit my weed pen, and I'm like, this works for me. This is good.
The vibe. I
Yeah,
love it.
you know the vibes.
Has taking these type of medications influenced the clients or the types of clients that you've seen or attracted, good or bad? Do you think it's made a difference, or do you see a difference in like your clients since you started taking it or since you started maintaining this weight?
Definitely since I've lost weight, yes.
Mhm.
Again, a lot of that was more on the natural side. So, oh yeah, from like when I was maybe at my heaviest to now, and it's awful and it's frustrating. It really is. I mean, there's just the beauty standard that like everyone is aware of, and I feel like everyone's trying to contort into that. So yeah, I have made more money since losing weight. I have gotten better clientele. That's not to say that there isn't great clientele on other ends. It's just different.
Mhm.
Um, I'm treated differently in
Mhm.
certain senses.
Mhm.
Um, the Ozemp or the semaglutide really so again I lost most of it through diet and exercise. I've probably lost 15 pounds on the Ozempic on
Okay.
top of everything else that I had done. But really for me it's more about just maintaining right now. I'm not trying to lose any more.
Yeah.
Um Actually, it's funny when I got back from Bali, I was like the skinniest I've ever been, like high school skinny. And then my mom was like, "You are too skinny." And I'm like, "I know, like but I didn't even mention this. I took a month off of doing the injections
I was
because
wondering about that.
I was in Bali and I was working out every single day, yoga like literally 4 to 5 hours a day. I'm eating all this vegan food and they were very promoting of, you know, all natural and wellness. So I'm like, let me just detox this too. Like, I mean, like, let's just see how I do not on it. And I still lost more weight when I was there because my diet was so good and clean and I was working out so much. Um, and since I've been back, I've probably put on like 7 or 8 more pounds because
Mhm.
I'm not vegan anymore. I've had some wine and cocktails and desserts again, and a lot of it was also gluten free. So I've introduced all these things back into my diet. But yeah, I my body gains quick and it loses quick. So that's why I also feel a constant pressure to
Mhm.
like make sure I'm in this window that I'm comfortable being in. Um, but yeah, the clients, I mean, I started it a few months ago, so I mean, I've had quite a few good regulars that I've had
Mhm.
since before I started the injections. So that hasn't really changed too much. I have a few good regulars, and I really don't see a ton of people or new people beyond that. So that stayed pretty consistent the same. But since like my original beginning of the weight loss journey, or even before, like I was doing filler and Botox and facials, and like I've definitely noticed a difference for sure.
Okay. Did your current clients notice your weight like fluctuate? Did they say anything about it?
Mhm. It's so we can talk about it now because it's in the past and it's okay, but at the time I was mortified. I didn't tell anyone. I was just kind of figuring out. I didn't know if I was gonna like it, if I was gonna hate it, if it was gonna be a 1 month thing. I didn't really know what the long-term trajectory was gonna be on that. One trip in particular, I had just started like 2 weeks before, and I
Mhm.
went up on the because you have to start at a low dose, and
Yes.
then like 2 weeks later you go up, you go up, you go up. And I jumped too high, I guess, and my body did not adjust well, and vomiting in the bathroom, nausea, I couldn't hold anything down, and I was with a client, and bless his heart, shout out, I'm sure he'll listen to this, handled it like the best you could ever want someone to handle it. He was such an angel about it. Um, he took me to the ER, which was like a bonding experience in itself. Um, yeah, which I mean, it is so embarrassing, right? You don't wanna be holding I literally slept in the bathroom for, like, 2 nights, and he,
Oh,
like, got a different hotel room, and I'm like, "Oh my god, this is so embarrassing." Because I he was like, "Do you wanna fly home?" And I'm like, "No, I can't even leave this bathroom."
oh, that's awful.
Um, so that was super embarrassing, and he was like, "What's going on?" And I was so I don't know why, looking back now, because he knows now, but looking back, I was embarrassed, and I didn't want him to know.
Yeah.
Um I ended up telling him later, and we almost kind of laugh about it now because he's
Yeah.
definitely seen me at my worst. Um, but yeah, there was a few other times where like, yeah, I just or if I would eat too much, if I would think it would be okay, and then but that was like my dose was like really high. No shade on the agent or the clinic that I went to, but they started me way too high. Way
Uh-oh.
I my dose right now is lower than what they wanted to start me at. So
Okay.
they wanted to start me at point 0.5, point 0.5, and then 1, like, in the first month, which
Okay.
I guess everyone's different. I
Hmm.
could not handle that. My dose right now is 0.25, and I usually last, like, 10 days. I
Oh,
don't even do
wow.
it I don't even do it every 7, um, because, again, everything in moderation, everything balanced, like, sometimes I wanna just enjoy a good solid meal and, like, be able to eat everything.
Mhm.
And then so yeah, and my doctor said that was fine, like, if you can stretch it out. Some people stretch it out to 2 or 3 weeks for every dose, and it just depends. So,
Mhm.
um, at one point, I think my highest, I was at point 0.4.
Mhm.
I think I when I did point 0.5, that's what put me in the ER, but I did that, like, right away, and I'm like, "I'm terrified to even go back to that anymore." So 0.25 every 10 days is what I'm doing now, which is really quite low. That's a very low dose. Um, but at one point, it was, like, point 0.4 every week, and then I kind of figured out what was best for me. Um, I don't know what I'll do long term, like, how long this will be. I'm not gonna change the status quo for now, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But again, I didn't wanna do anything too drastic, and that's why I wanted to get in the gym and also diet because I didn't wanna just do this and then a year later stop and then gain it all back because that does happen to a lot of people. Um, and I think permanent lifestyle choices are
Mhm.
your best route long term.
Yeah, that's kinda how I approached it. I changed the way I was eating first before getting on Manjaro. Um, but I was just eating just to be eating and, like, cooking every week, and I'm like, "Oh my god," but I was eating very, very clean, and
Yeah,
then I started to take the injections, like, I take an injection every 7 days, I think, and I started at a low dose, for, like, a month, and then I think every month we go up. So now I think I'm on, like, the highest dose. I'm, like, on 2nd week of the highest dose, not really sure how that's gonna go. I have gotten sick. So it's really important to, like, listen to your body on this
mhm,
very important.
yeah,
Um, Like, when you are full, that means you are full. You cannot continue to eat or
If
you
you
will make
keep eating,
yourself.
it'll just come out, yeah.
Oh
And
my
that
God.
was my mistake at the beginning because I'm like, I feel like I should eat more. And then like,
Yes.
yeah.
Because I just I love how like yes in unison. I just ordered something like a couple days ago. Like I ordered some food late at night, like the worst kind of food possible. But I thought I was able to still eat it, but I don't think I can eat it anymore. It's like these like tacos from Uber Eats, in Dallas, and like I woke up at 5 a.m. and I thought I was gonna die. I really did. And I had an
It's the
appointment to go
worst.
up my dose that morning, and I was like, "Listen,
No.
I don't know what I did." And then it was so
That's
because
yeah.
we had like a mix up like with she's like, "Do you have this dose or not? Like this high dose?" I'm like, "I think I do, but I don't know." She's like, "Go back." And it's really important to have like a really good doctor that or and a facility that actually like wants just doesn't want to throw it at you, but actually wants to give you the correct dosage. So I had to go right back to my apartment to make sure I had this dosage, and she didn't want to give me something that was going to make me sick after I explained to her that I had just been sick. But that's the first time I had been really, really, really been sick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so I don't
Uh,
recommend
in
it any.
South Florida, I mean, I guess it's different everywhere, but I feel like they just want to pass it out like candy here. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just, yeah, they put me on way too high of a dose. It was no big deal. Um, they asked me for like, well, I guess they did have recent blood work from like other,
Oh
like,
yeah.
primary doctor. But a lot of the times they'll do like I don't know, like a clearance. Like they'll make sure you don't have any pre-existing health conditions that you don't know about.
Hmm.
Um, someone that I know personally, he was gonna get on it because he wanted to lose weight, and his blood work came back as pre-diabetic, and they were like, "We want you on this anyway." So like
Mm.
that's interesting. Um, but yeah, you definitely have to be careful and listen to your body and not go too much too fast. Um, because again, you want it to be sustainable.
Most definitely. Both of my parents had diabetes. Maybe one of my grandparents had diabetes. I'm like,
It
if
has
I
it's
keep,
in the family.
yeah, I'm like, if I keep going at this rate, even though because the struggles I've seen with both of my parents, um, I'm like, yeah, I gotta make better choices. I can't have like soda. I can't have like my dad that just passed away last year. He had like potato chips and ice cream when I was like a kid growing up together. I'm like, what is that?
Yeah.
Like I can't keep making these decisions like they
Yeah.
make. My mom loves orange juice and chocolate cake together. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah,
Like
the crazy
make
combination.
better choices.
Yeah.
Better choices, parents.
Yeah.
So
I
I'm like,
definitely have a sweet tooth. Like I love sweets. Um, and I get to midnight, not midnight, but like after dinner, I just like I get like a little snack craving. Not so much anymore, but I mean, there were times where I would just eat like almost a whole bag, and I'm like, I just can't stop. Like it's good and it tastes good, and like I'm not even this is before medication. I'm
yeah.
not even hungry anymore. It's just so good, and it's like it just you can't stop. So I've definitely struggled with like my relationship with food. And again, I don't know if that's binge eating because I feel like a lot of times that's accompanied by purging, which I've never done.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, sometimes, and now I'm just like, now I can stop. Now I can have a handful and I can enjoy the taste and flavor. And then I put it back, and that's all I need
Yep.
to have.
That's it. And then you'll have even more. Me, I'm
Right.
like, oh my God, I don't have my snacks. I need to go buy my snacks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you could stretch it out. It lasts a lot
Yeah.
longer. That's another good
Yeah.
thing about it. I'm like, I don't think I have any more questions. Let's see. Any final thoughts or key takeaways you'd like to leave with our listeners today in regards to body image or taking these medications? Do you have anything you want to say?
Oh, it's so hard. I mean, just kind of summarizing everything that we've already said. Like it's such a not competitive, but it's cutthroat out here sometimes, and it's everyone's always doing something else or looking more beautiful or coming out with a great photo shoot where she looks great or her hair is better, so do I get hair extensions? And it's always again, it's not like we all will talk and say it's not a competition, everyone is beautiful. yet we're all in our mind doing it and following those things. And I feel like you can just chase your tail forever if you wanted to, and just always looking for the next best thing. I think it's good to have good people in your circle and corner to make sure nothing gets too out of control or too crazy, or a good doctor. Like, I remember I asked my plastic surgeon for like buccal fat removal. This was like a year, probably 2 years ago. I was like curvier then, so like I had a chubbier face. And
Yes.
he said, no, I'm not doing that for you.
Good.
You did not need that. So I never got it done. And then I lost some weight. And then I'm like, oh my God, if I would have had that, like, I would look scary. So
Yeah.
I think it's good to stay grounded and not get too over the top, too crazy. Again, if you want to look super filled up and plastic surgery, you go, girl.
Yeah.
But in terms of like long-term mental health, like, sometimes my friends here are like, oh my God, yeah, we love this in Miami and plastic surgery, and like, but my mom will be like, you don't need that. Like, didn't you just get something done? Like, didn't you just get injectables? And I'm like, yeah, but now I need more. And then she'll be like, slow it down, you're beautiful. So it is good to keep those people in your circle that will ground you. And because I feel like having too many friends in the industry and too many friends that are very pro all of these things,
Yeah.
it can start to cloud you a little bit if you don't have something holding you back. Even my clients, like, I'll tell them like, oh, I'm getting another this or that or facial or whatever, or like this laser treatment, and they're like, wow, you really do a lot. And I'm like, yeah, it's a full-time job
It
to
is.
but I mean, even they will say, you don't, like, you're so beautiful, you don't need to do that. And I'm like, yeah, but you see what I look like because of everything that I've done. So it's sort of like that catch-22 of like, or like guys will be like, oh, I like girls with natural makeup, and then they point to the girl that has like a ton of makeup on, it's just done naturally. So I think even sometimes men are blissfully unaware of what goes into it, and they can be encouraging to not do these things.
Yeah.
But it's like, but would you still be booking me or spending time with me if I wasn't doing all these things? If I looked, you know what I mean? So I think some people don't even realize.
They don't. They never
Yeah.
do.
They'll pick, like, I've seen like a edited natural makeup photo of Kim Kardashian, and I've seen guys be like, this is what we want when we say no makeup. And I'm like, that is not natural. Yeah. So they don't even know.
Yeah. It's all about a fantasy. It's all about curating a fantasy. So just, I want clients to keep that in mind and like just be appreciative of what your sex worker, your escort, your companion does to stay looking hot.
I feel like you're right. Not that many people want to talk about it. I feel like that only adds to the stereotype and like what's the word I'm looking for? The mystique of it all. Like, I just like to be open and honest, and I'm not judgmental, so hopefully other people aren't on me. I'm sure some people will have opinions about this, but
Oh,
I think honesty can be the best policy, especially when you're creating such a high standard of beauty. Because even like my personal friends on social media will be like, oh my God, you look so blah, 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 like, you're studying these photos. And I'm like, but remember, there's a lot that goes into this, and it's editing, and it's doctor's appointments, and it's lasers, and it's facials, and it's medicines, and it's lots of time in the gym. And, you know, so I don't want anyone to think like I just woke up like this, right? I mean, to an extent, yes. I've been blessed genetically, but there's a lot that goes into it to improve, maintain, accentuate, highlight more of what you want.
all right. So thank you for listening to Exclusively Yours, the first video podcast with our guest, Nicole Knight. And if anybody wants to find Nicole, where can they find you, Nicole, online?
I'm on Instagram, X, or Twitter. I just got banned from TikTok, so you can't find me. It's the worst. Social media, Nicole Knight FTL, or my website is NicoleKnight.com. You can find me there. Also on OnlyFans, Nicole Knight FTL. And then thank you so much for having me. It's been such a pleasure talking to you and just having a very open, candid conversation about something that's quite taboo and not a lot of people want to talk about. So hopefully we can inspire other people to just be honest. Not that you have not necessarily all that, but just more understanding and more knowledge, even to the clients as well, because I feel like a lot of them aren't really aware of what's going on behind the scenes too.
Yeah, especially if you like have a dinner date with somebody and they're like, "Oh, I won't have
Yeah.
anything," which is what I've been doing lately, which is kind of,
Yeah.
it's like it feels much better just to feel lighter
Yeah.
for other fun
Exactly.
activities. But anyway, all right,
Yeah. Thank you again for having me. Nice to see you.
you too.